Welcome to the Pleasure Points podcast. I'm your host, James Rohr. We are reviving the When Ghosts Speak for today's episode. So I hope you enjoy. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, stay tuned. If you do know what I'm talking about, get excited. It's a good one. It's a brief one, but we're going to be in and out, and it's going to be awesome. So thank you guys, as always, for being here. Hit me up at the show, pleasurepointspodcast@gmail.com, or you can find me on the gram at James E. Rohr. And we will keep this party train moving. Without further ado, have a great one. We are inside Vanchovy, and this is a special edition of When Ghosts Speak. So it's been a while since I've released one of these. So for those of you who are new to the podcast, the When Ghosts Speak series is my kind of experiment, if you will, in channeling. So, I make these disclaimers, but I don't really care what it is. I think the information here is good. The experience that I had of writing it, or more accurately receiving it, is I intentionally put myself in a position to be open to, divine guidance, if you will. And for the When Ghosts Speak episodes, the experience is it feels like I can see these entities sitting across from me, and it feels as though I'm simply transcribing what they're telling me. So it's as though, like, yes, they're thoughts, but they're different thoughts. It's a different tone. It's a different, voice. The syntax is different. The information is usually overlaps, with stuff that I already think about or know, but there's oftentimes other kind of flavors or different spins to it that I hadn't sort of consciously thought before. It's entirely possible that this is just my experience of being more free and creative, and that the idea of channeling just gives my brain an extra set of freedoms to explore and, sort of write whatever I want to write. Or maybe there really is, these entities that are speaking and communicating with me. I don't care. I'm not into this for branding myself as a channeler or whatever. And yet you guys have consistently, in the earlier episodes of this, seem to really like these and get a lot from it. So I'm happy to continue it as long as the channeling and that stuff still happens in a way that feels and is authentic to me. So you can rest assured that I'm not going to pretend that something is the channeling when it's not, because I'm unattached to it either way. It doesn't really matter to me. I just want the content to be good. And so this is something that I'm really passionate about. So I was actually preparing a different podcast, and I came across some of these notes, and I was like, oh yeah, this deserves to be the podcast right now. And I love it because we just finished up our oils and energy course. We're going to do it again. So if you're interested in that, it's really not even oils and energy. It's exploring the energy body. And when we did that, so much of it is about paying attention, and so much of it is about listening and feeling with your whole body, and just really paying attention in the present moment. And if we're caught up in all these stories of what should be or what could be or what I need to do differently and blah, 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 then, it's really difficult to stay connected to your intuition. It's very, very difficult to, I don't even know what the word is, to heal, or to, certainly to be useful to other people if you are in a position, quote unquote, of being a healer. And so activating the senses is just critical. And when it comes to love and relationships, I mean, the senses are where everything is mediated by. And so this is the When Ghosts Speak on a couple of senses. We're going to just do the hearing and seeing today. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So here it is. Context matters. And now let's turn our attention to your immediate environment. Your soundscape is of utmost concern to us. We've talked several times already about the words you use. They have an ideology and a vibration, a wavelength that matters. But what else are you listening to? Are you hearing sirens? Are you hearing harmonies? Does what you listen to help you feel good? Is there a dripping in your faucet? Is there a hammering around you? It is true that your mind can choose what it dwells on, but your energy field is still resonating to the nearby sounds. While not as important as what you eat, being intentional about what you listen to, what the soundscape is, can make quite a bit of difference to how you feel. Experiment with different music and you'll know exactly what we mean. A simple shift that can make a huge difference in your ability to love and celebrate yourself is to surround yourself with music and harmonics that give you good vibes. Use it to shift your mood, to break patterns, and to uplift you. And don't forget your own voice. Sing out. Be free. Experiment with sounds and frequencies. Experience yourself as a resonator. You might just find your power and heal your thyroid with your voice. We gave it to you for expression, not to stifle it. Use it. But all of these suggestions are just that. The underlying principle is that there is a fluidity of you. You are at the mercy of thoughts, of chemicals, of sound waves. Even the most resilient of you are still subject to the whims of electrical storms, chemical assaults, and toxicity. While not always fatal, there are plenty of ways flow can be interfered with or clogged. Do what you can to minimize repeated assaults of choice by choosing to create an environment that looks and sounds good and where you eat good food for you. And remember that you are always the seed and the flower. To be the seed of the new flower. And when you look in the mirror, see that seed already fully bloomed, and reality will shift. Eat as the new flower would want to eat. Eat in a way that nourishes that seed of your becoming. To really love, one must expand into all their senses. And you must be willing to go beyond just the few senses you are accustomed to. You will find that there are 26 senses that you can develop. We will talk about those later. For now, we'll stick to the ones you already know. Awakening your ears. Sound can be heard primarily through your ears. This is how most of you think of it. But this is just one type of hearing. There is also a listening of your body. This body listening is different than just the ears. Yes, both are sensing of a vibration, and a vibration is induced in reaction to that sense. Rigidity of both mind and body limits the ability to resonate and to hear appropriately. When the hairs can't translate the vibration into signal for the nerves to recognize, you miss it. But you can also hear with your body. We're going to differentiate this body hearing from merely touching because the focus now is on what the sound vibration flow through your skin, muscles, fascia, and bones. You could attune yourself, training to hear these sounds by listening with your body. Be in a sound bath or a sound chamber and experience different frequencies. We suggest using earplugs so that you're not distracted by the auditory sensation via the ear and the ear canal. Rather, begin to attune yourself to the subtle movements of a variety of frequencies based on the harmonic scales and notice what you notice. If you watch the sand on a sound plate create different spheres or different shapes as the frequency increases, you can attune yourself so that you might notice the fluid in the body and the tissues also reacts as the wave approach. This kind of body hearing is another sense worth differentiating. Doing this will enable you to hear your partner better. You can hear the energy of a mood. This will be important when it comes to attunement and resonance. You will be better able to understand and feel what your heart is attuning to. What is it resonating with? And what that will mean for the reality you will experience. Seeing is the most nuanced. Firstly, you depend too much on your eyes for what you see. Remember that your reality is composed of your expectations, your words, and your fears, so that what you see will be based on that unless you have committed yourself to creating something different. You know you don't see as other creatures do, and even seeing compared to your siblings or neighbors or coworkers. What you see is so variable that it's hard to summarize. You can think of above your head as a rotating sphere of energy, and what you see is a feedback between your heart, mind, and that orb. When you want to accomplish something you haven't yet, you must change the orb with a new directive. And remember that the directive is already accomplished. You're just tuning the orb with the frequency of how you want to vibrate. As you vibrate, so shall you see. Psychedelics obviously change what you see. That is an easy experience of lifting the veil. Get drunk, eat too much sugar, fast. Eat too much sugar, fast, like fasting. Listen to angry music, and what you see will change. Of all the senses, vision is the most powerful and the least likely to be trusted. You can trust in what you are seeing is consistent with your beliefs and your current energy state. But it's not to be trusted in that what you see is what is consistent with your energy state. So if you're looking for proof that something is so, you will of course find it because that's what you're programmed to see. However, we can also utilize your vision to catch your attention and radically alter the plan. It's hard to deny visions, and yet sometimes that is precisely what must be done. The eyes are the work of the trickster. You can behold the beauty or the devastation, but be careful to ascribe too much meaning to it. Trust the trickster at your own peril. He might take you to the treasure that you seek, or he will teach you to trust yourself by betraying you time and time again. But it isn't a betrayal in the cosmic scheme of things, because that just doesn't exist. But it's a betrayal of your understanding of prayer and how a prayer is answered. The oasis shows up when one knows in the heart that it must be the case. It turns into a mirage when you want it to be an oasis. This is why one must cross-reference the vision with the frequency of the heart, with the rest of the body, and with the logical mind, so that they can be fully aligned. You saw what you thought you saw, but it might not have been just so. Vision has a tremendous grasp on reality. It can only perceive, not hold, so it should be celebrated, appreciated, and explored. But use it more as a reflection of what's going on inside of you rather than a hard-earned payoff of the real world. End of the download. I just said download. I hate that word is being so used like in all the things now. Oh man. So there you have it. Let me know what you think. 20 what did they say? 26 senses. Yikes, spikes. So we'll see if anything becomes of that, if there's more messages there. You know, I love this. When I was in New York was when I really started to explore sound and the power of sound so much more, participating in sound ceremonies. Some people call them sound baths, but really training the ear to listen. And if there's like singing bowls or a gong playing, you know, attempting to follow like one of the sounds, one of the overtones, and just watching it, experiencing it, feeling it, you know, all the way to the end. And being able to do that again and again and again is such an amazing experience. And if you haven't seen the shapes that the sound waves make, go to YouTube and type in like sand on a sound plate or something like that. And you'll see it's like a frequency plate. And as they change the frequency of the sound and the noise, there's all these geometric patterns that the sand automatically just starts shifting into. It's amazing. There's a whole study of this stuff called cymatics, CYMATIC, the study of sound and sound waves. And you know, this one guy was saying that it's not so much a wave as it is a bubble, where, you know, this whole kind of geometric shape that is like floating in your way. At Canyon Ranch, we used to have a sound table where they would play music, and the table had built-in speakers, and, you know, your body would actually feel the speakers and the waves. I love this idea of listening with the body and really, you know, taking an experiment of putting on music, relaxing music, sound waves, sound bowls perhaps, and, you know, noticing if there's like a place in your body where you feel it the most. We used to have, I would do these sessions at the ranch called acutonics, which would be tuning forks on the body, which is cool. And then we had 7 sound bowls. We had the crystal bowls. I much prefer the Tibetan metal bowls now, but at the time I was really into the crystal bowls. And it was interesting going through. It was each one was a different note. They had different sizes, but it was interesting every time I gave a session like that, because oftentimes there was one bowl, and it would differ for the patient. There was one bowl that was consistently like annoying for someone, where they just really didn't like it, and it was like that frequency just didn't vibe for them. And it's that sort of like listening with the body to see, well, what happens? What does that mean you don't like it? What's being stirred in you? Perhaps that's the frequency that your body needs the most, and it's the most disruptive to the ego, or to the illusions that we've been telling ourselves. But in that desire just to be comfortable, perhaps we don't listen to that. And with the tuning forks, and if you're working with octaves and creating music, there's this whole way of creating sound, and the intervals, that some are more harmonizing, some are more discordant. The sixth and the sevenths, like the sixths are really disruptive, and sevenths can leave you with that sort of yearning and that unsatisfied feeling, because the body is craving the resolution. I'm not a musician, but I find these theories to be so incredible, and I love this messaging of when Go Speak, of really listening to the body, and allowing your whole, like, actively engaging your awareness, so that the whole body can become this vibratory mechanism, so that you can get that feedback and pay attention to what you're vibrating to. And we know with resonance that an entrainment, that the dominant sound, the dominant frequency, the dominant vibration, other things around it will entrain to it. And so this is where, when you walk into a room, if you are that dominant frequency, other people can entrain to you. I think this is why, like, cult leaders and stuff have so much success, and why they're so effective, is because they're coming in with absolute certainty, and they're setting the tone. They're creating this vibration that other people who are just sort of not paying attention, or going through the motions in their lives, will just start naturally entraining to it, whether they know it or not. I mean, this is why background music in stores is such a thing now, or has been for a while, because they know that on some level your body's in training to the music. And if they play music that gets you, more relaxed, or more happy, or more excited to buy, then that's going to affect and improve their bottom line. And the same thing comes with all of us. And so, if you have like a friendship or a family situation that's more challenging, if you're with that person, notice like what your body might be hearing. What is your body communicating? How is your body adapting? Who might be the more dominant wavelength? Who might be the more dominant frequency there? And how is your body responding to that? So there's just so much. There's so much here, as you listen to it and think about it and unpack it. Right, experience yourself as a resonator. And when you think about being in certain places in the world where you feel better than others, perhaps there's something there where your body, listening with your whole body, and not just like the sounds, right? The listening of your whole body can give you an indication of, okay, yeah, this is great. I want to visit here more if you're moving somewhere, whatever. It's funny, thinking about this, because it's like I live in the suburbs now. And I remember being in New York. So if you're like a New Yorker listening to this, or you're like in the super urban environment, it's like, it's one of the challenges of being there, is all of the sounds. Like, on the one hand, I love knowing that, like, there's people, and people are doing things and creating things and living their lives and whatever. And also, it's like hearing a garbage truck at 3 a.m. and all the sirens and the construction and all that stuff. It's like, it can all play a part in our energy and how we feel. And so this is where, if you're challenged with not feeling well, everything has to be up for reevaluation, including your soundscape. Yeah. And now, shifting over to what they were talking about with seeing in the eyes, like, holy cow, right? This whole thing of this orb above your head and this feedback, like, try it out, play with that, see if that works for you. It's the thing, my biggest takeaway from that is, like, not like, one, how easily our eyes can deceive us, and how to not necessarily just trust your vision. That it's got to be more than that, because it's so easy to manipulate the self and all that just with a vision. I thought that was really, really interesting, as someone who's had visions and chased visions and used visions his whole life to kind of guide and make decisions. But anyone who's done psychedelics, if you've done like a decent sized dose, that like, the vision and the stuff that we think is real is perhaps not what we always think it is. And so the combination of these two, it seems very appropriate to have these two to be together, because it seemed to be saying that listening with the body and anchoring, allowing that anchoring in of your whole body as a resonance, as a tool of resonance and feedback, is almost more valuable, more trustworthy than simply just seeing with your eyes. So, and certainly like in the dating world, that's absolutely the case. It's so easy to get caught up in the looks, but it's like, how do you really feel? How are you feeling with this person? What is your body communicating with you with that? And not just, how is this going to look? How does he look? How does she look? How does this look for us? But to allow it to be a full body experience. So, yeah, I think that's all I've got to say on this right now. Let me know what you think. If you want more of these, and we can certainly keep going down that road. So let me think here. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Thank you guys as always for being here, and thanks for subscribing, for rating, sharing, and spreading the love. You can always hit me up, pleasurepointspodcast@gmail.com, at James E. Rohr on the gram. Until next time, everybody, have a great week.